Hello. Alright. Welcome back, everybody, to another fun and exciting episode. Same bat time, same bat channel of my 2025 DVD and Blu-ray collection overview series. This is part 36. We are gonna, hopefully, we're gonna get done the bottom shelf in this segment. We should be able to. We'll see. But we're working on again the first of the bigger shelves, and we are on the bottom. I did kind of split it up a little bit differently. Last time we took a look at the front row, the front row and the back row on top. Now we're working on the bottom front, and then in a minute when we're done, not in a minute, but in a little bit when we're done these, we will finish up the other half of the bottom row, the in the front though, and then we'll go to the back. But there's, again, I split it up for a specific reason, which we will, of course, we'll get into in a little while here. But then after that, we will be done all the stuff that I have watched, and then we'll start rolling into the stuff I haven't watched yet, which is not as much. Well, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot, but we'll make it happen. But let's go ahead and let's roll and let's do it. So first up, we have The Drop, which I think this is, I don't know if it was the last movie that he did, but it was one of the last movies that James Gandolfini did, also with Tom Hardy. So there you go. And I think there is a Blu-ray for this. I just don't have it. But yeah, I think this was one of the last movies that, unfortunately, James Gandolfini did. So there's that. Next up, we have Legend. Always really liked this movie. This is another one that was always on TV when I was a kid back in the day. And Arrow put this out. I don't know the status of that, because some of the Arrow titles, it's weird. Because Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, when they got that went out of print quickly. And now it's like $80 is the cheapest you can find it. I'm like, I like the movie, but I don't want to pay $80 to get it on Blu-ray. So I don't know what the status of Legend is. I'd have to look into that. But again, I've always really enjoyed this movie. I think this is one of the better science fiction movies of the 80s, at least in my opinion. But always quite liked it. This is the old Ultimate DVD. Picked this up at Blockbuster when they were selling off all their stuff back in the day. But again, always quite enjoyed that film. Definitely one of the best presentations of the devil, as far as I'm concerned. Tim Curry knocked it out of the park, and I'm sure it was no easy task being in all that makeup and costume and everything, but he was great, I will say. So there's that. And then we have some of the, I should have said that about Elm Street, not all, but some. But we have some leftover Nightmare on Elm Street DVDs, and when I say that is I have a bunch of DVD-Rs, but we'll cover those down the road, not in this series of videos here. We'll do that later. But first up, because they did release this, unlike Freddy's Nightmares, I do have the complete Friday the 13th TV series. I have actually always really liked this show. I do remember back in the day, the Sci-Fi Channel used to run this a lot, and I would watch it on there. And I think these came out, if I'm not mistaken, 2008, 2009 is when. So yeah, it was right around the time that the remake came out that they put these out on DVD. Also, that's when they did those deluxe edition DVDs, which I don't have anymore because all the stuff from there is on the Blu-rays. But again, I always really liked this show. I can't complain. So we have season 1, which has the original sales pitch, and then it has all the promos for the episodes on there too. Then we have season 2, right? Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, I just don't understand why the Friday the 13th series came out on DVD, but not Freddy's Nightmares. And then we have season 3, the last season, which also has episode promos. Now, the first 2 seasons, I think are the best ones. I like season 3, but when John D. LeMay left the show, it wasn't the same. And then the first two seasons, the rating, actually, when the show was on, it did very well. It did quite well in the ratings. I think it was always at least number two. I think Star Trek The Next Generation was number one in terms of syndicated television, which is funny because it's the same studio. And then I think Friday the 13th was always a strong number two. And then I think towards the end of the second season, the ratings started to kind of slack off a bit. And then the third season, that tanked very quickly, which is why they canceled the show midway through the third season. And that's why it's shorter, because it wasn't enough to sustain the cost. So there you go. But again, I still really like this show. I don't think it would ever come out on Blu-ray. I don't think there's enough of a demand for it. Plus the restoration work and everything, they probably wouldn't justify the cost. But I would love if it were to come out on Blu-ray. But again, it's probably not going to happen. But wishful thinking. So there we go. Then we have His Name Was Jason, which I actually watched this because this was Starz. Anchor Bay. So this is the only piece of Friday the 13th that Anchor Bay ever put out. Imagine that. But I remember Starz showed this. And again, this was when the remake came out. And I actually quite like it. I think Crystal Lake Memories is better, which in a lot of ways is an extended version of this, because a lot of the interviews from that were actually taken from this, and then they added stuff in there. But there is a bunch of extra features on here, which is pretty cool. This actually it's not on YouTube because of the music and everything, but this has the Angry Video Game Nerd Friday the 13th episode, I think in its uncut form, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. And I also, there we go. Good thing I looked. This still has, I don't know why it says box set, because it's not a box set, but it still has the movie ticket for the remake. So I like I keep these in here. Now, obviously, I can't use them, but yeah, if they come with a DVD or whatever, I still keep them in there because I like it. But yeah, I like this documentary. Crystal Lake Memories is better, but it's got features and stuff on here, which is pretty cool. Now we're gonna get into some bootleg territory. I got these at Monster Mania way back. Probably like the first time I went, or one of the first times I went, when you could still go and have have money left over, and it was affordable. So we have the work print of the final chapter, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which was never one of my favorite ones. But, again, I like collecting all the different versions and stuff, so there's that. And then we have the work print composite version of Jason Lives, which they just took the VHS to make the footage match. And then the only thing that's different is the ending. Like when the sheriff's back gets broken, it doesn't actually have all the complete uncut kills and stuff. I have a fan cut of Jason Lives that does. They put the kills, the uncut kills and such back in. But this is one of those old, bootlegs from back in the day, which is cool. And then this one's really cool. I haven't watched this in forever. Excuse me. But I do want to sit down and watch this and write what's on it, because there's no listing or anything. But this is the Ultimate Collection Mega Disc, which is one of those compilation DVDs. Like I said, back in the day, when I first started going to conventions, even before that, you would find these all the time. These were always being sold by the DVD vendors, by the tape vendors back when they did VHS. And again, these were just the mixtapes that people would make. They would get all this footage together. And a lot of this stuff is on YouTube now. Some of it's actually not. But you used to be able to find these all the time. Now they're getting slim to none. Because like I said, when I go to these shows, one of the things I hate is that there's not enough DVD, physical, not just DVD, but physical media vendors. It's all, and look, I don't have anything wrong with what these people do. A lot of these people work full-time jobs and they do this stuff on the side. And that's admirable. That's great. But I don't really give a fuck about arts and crafts, okay? I'm not an arts and crafts kind of guy. Like I said, no disrespect. If that's what you love to do, and you're good at it and you can make money, God bless you, okay, really. But that's not what I look for when I go to these shows. That's not what a lot of people look for when they go to these shows, okay? No disrespect, that's just me. Because I know at least one asshole will get pissed. You're a dick. Yes, I am. Get over it. Oh, well. I'm done being... My New Year's resolution for 26, don't be nice to people anymore. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on. We got Pool Hall Junkies. Really enjoyed this film. This was kind of one of those movies I just discovered. Excuse me, out of nowhere. I'm allergic to the bullshit that when I go to these conventions, there's not enough physical media vendors. There we go. This is a movie I just discovered. Now I know that the scene where Christopher Walken is talking about the lions, that's the only thing that people remember from this movie. But the rest of the movie is actually quite good. I really enjoyed this movie. Really solid movie about pool and hustling and all that. And a really good cast. Clint Eastwood's daughter, one of his daughters, Allison, is in this one. And Michael Rosenbaum, who I always really liked. Of course, Chaz Palminteri, one of my all-time favorites. Next, we have... We're down on Jump Street! 21 Jump Street. So we have the first 4 seasons. I do not have the 5th season because Johnny Depp was not in that season and it was not very good, I'll say that. But these are all the Mill Creek releases. I don't know if the Anchor Bay releases had features. I'll have to go look into that. I want to say that they didn't. But we have season 1. I like the series. I like the movies too. I know we already covered the movies, but I think the movies are really funny, and I do like the series as well. Then we have season 2. And I am surprised. Again, I know they did them as movies, but I am surprised that they never did a remake series of 21 Jump Street. Maybe they don't feel that it's necessary, or maybe like, well, we did the movie, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm quite surprised that they've never done a remake TV series of 21 Jump Street. Now that I said that, they'll do it. So there we go. Then we got season 3. And then season 4, which again was the last season that Johnny Depp was in. I think season 5, he was just done. He didn't really want to do the series, to be honest, because he was even then, he was trying to get away from the teeny bopper image, which he'll always have that, to be honest. It doesn't matter what he does. Even now, he still has it. But he did it to work with Frederick Forrest. Frederick Forrest got killed off in the first season, and then he was under contract, and he couldn't get out of it until I think the 4th season. So then, yeah, they did season 5, but the reason why people watched it is because Johnny Depp was on it. Then he wasn't on the show anymore, and then people stopped watching. Stop watching. I can't fucking talk today. Anyway. And then we have the spin-off, Booker, which is not the complete series. For whatever reason, there was one episode. I don't think they could get the music clearances for it. So, that one episode is not included on here. But it is on YouTube. So again, it's weird how you can put it on YouTube, but you can't put it on DVD. It's so fucking stupid. But yeah, that episode is not on this DVD. That's the only one that's missing. But Richard Grieco was on Jump Street, and his character was so popular that he got a spinoff. So there you go. But I like that show. Then we have Starcom, the U.S. Space Force. Before there was an actual Space Force, but this is an 80s cartoon. Again, this was recommended by Zara Nizarak here on YouTube before he lost his goddamn mind. But this is a pretty fun 80s cartoon. Can't complain about it. Another one that the Mill Creek put out. So there you go. And then the last one for the top shelf. Yes. We have Free Fall with Eric Roberts and Jeff Fahey, who another actor I've always really loved. Love Eric Roberts. Great guy. I got to meet him. Always liked Jeff Fahey as well. Excuse me there for a second. And like half a burp came out, but this is kind of like a cliffhanger type of movie. Not bad though. I don't mind this film. So there's that. All right, and then This is on the bottom shelf. This is half of the bottom shelf. And the reason, well, we'll get into that in a moment here. But this is the first half. We'll get into the other half in a minute. So first up, we got some Led Zeppelin DVDs. I think it's still DVD in this one. Yes, it is. Okay, never mind. It's still DVD, so I don't have to keep it. But first up, we have the Song Remains the Same movie. There is a Blu-ray, but this is the collector's edition, which came with a T-shirt and these art cards and everything. I still have the T-shirt. Actually, still fits, believe it or not. For one that I've had for, when did this come out? 2007. So I've had that T-shirt for, what, 18 years at this point, and it still fits. But you get the DVD, T-shirt, art cards, and stuff like that, which is really cool. But I always really liked The Song Remains the Same. The song remains the same. God damn, I need some sugar. And I had a little bit of sugar earlier, but I always really liked this movie. Now, this, I think, is... no, it's not re-edited. There is bonus songs that didn't make it into the movie on here. But the album, like the actual album, each version that they put out's different and re-edited and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the original version of the movie. So there's that. And then we have, which is just simply called Led Zeppelin, which this DVD is fucking awesome. This is still awesome. I would love if this were to get reissued on Blu-ray, but it's probably not going to happen. But this is just a bunch of pro shot footage that had never come out before. Well, not officially. A lot of this stuff actually was available as bootlegs. But I remember when this came out, 2003. I had an uncle that actually had this, and I used to watch it. And then I think he ended up getting me my own copy for Christmas or birthday or something. Maybe just randomly gave me a gift. I don't know. But yeah, you got Live at the Royal Albert Hall, 1970. You got the music videos and stuff on here as well. The stuff that did not make it to The Song Remains the Same, but then some of the songs on here did not make it to that special edition DVD, so you got to have both if you want all the footage. Earl's Court, which I think I might have that full show as a bootleg, 1975. Nebworth 79, I have both of those shows actually as bootlegs. So that's the thing. I think the only thing, say that 5 times, the only show on here that's complete, I think, is the Royal Albert Hall show. The rest is just portions of it. But really, and I love that artwork. That's just, I know it's a flag. They don't like that in photography, a flag photo. But here it works, which is awesome. So there's that. And I would get yelled at for that when I took that class. But yeah, I don't know if this is still in print or not, or what the prices look like. But even if you are just a casual Led Zeppelin fan, I'm not. Led Zeppelin is in the top 5 for me. It should be in the top 5 for everybody as far as I'm concerned. But you need to, even if you're just a casual fan, this is an essential DVD to have. And then I also have the Jimmy Page and Robert Plant No Quarter Unleaded, which was their pseudo MTV Unplugged special that they did, because it wasn't all acoustic. A lot of it was electric. But this is awesome as well. I love this. Remember watching it on, I think VH1 reran it one time, and I was just like, what the fuck? It actually has my favorite version of Kashmir. I like the version of Kashmir on here more than the studio version. There's nothing wrong with the studio version, don't get me wrong, but I like this version more. That's just me. But I think, yeah, this is the complete show. Some of the CDs and stuff out there are missing songs for whatever reason, but yeah, this is the complete show. So there's that. Great stuff. And then we have some of the Corey's movies that I still have on DVD. So first up, we have License to Drive. This is the old Anchor Bay DVD because there are features on here. Most of them did not make it to the Blu-ray. I don't know if Anchor Bay lost the license to them or there was stuff going on or what have you. But yeah, once again, same label. They didn't transfer the features over. And I do remember this was out of print for quite a while as well, and this got pretty expensive. I remember finding this at a FYE brand new for like $10, and I think it had just gone out of print, so I grabbed it. And then when they put the Blu-ray out, the Blu-ray wasn't out long either. That went out of print very quickly too. So there you go. That's where we're at with License to Drive. But this was always my favorite of the Corey's movies. Sorry, Lost Boys. And it's just an absolute classic as far as I'm concerned. Now, even if they ever re-release it, which I highly doubt they will, because it's now Disney owns it, I'm still going to keep this DVD because I love this DVD. It's good old Anchor Bay, like I said. Get out of my dreams. Get into my car. It's got one little scratch on it, but because I try to take care of all my shit. But love License to Drive. We can all relate to that movie. There is a Blu-ray for this. I just don't have it. I still don't understand what the fuck happens in this movie, to be perfectly honest. But we have Dream a Little Dream, which has a great soundtrack. Don't get me wrong. But I guess Corey Feldman got pissed because Corey Haim was the focus of the Lost Boys and License to Drive, and he's the focus in this one. But those two movies are better. Just saying. Just saying. So there's that. But again, killer soundtrack on here. I don't think anybody would doubt that. But like I said, I still don't know what the fuck is going on in that movie. But at least I will say this. At least you get to see Meredith Salinger running around in a leotard. So there's that. Meredith Salinger was a babe back in the day. I don't know what the fuck she sees in Patton Oswalt, but don't get killed. And then we have Blown Away, which was them trying to do like a sexy, erotic thriller and everything. But Nicole Eggert gets naked, so I can't complain. I don't know. I think it says it's the R-rated version, but I think it's actually the unrated version. Don't quote me on that. Who is the other girl in this? Is it Kathleen Robertson? I can't remember her name, but this one's okay. Like I said, Nicole Eggert gets naked, and that's back when she was hot. So there you go. And she was dating Corey Haim at the time, so I guess it was in the contract. I don't know. Anyway, Nicole, you got to show your boobs. Okay. Sorry. Not sorry. They're nice. Anyway, moving on. We have the Time Machine remake, which I actually enjoyed this film. I know it was a huge flop when it came out, but I actually enjoyed this movie for what it is. And I believe, if I am not mistaken, I believe there is a Blu-ray. I think Paramount actually put this out by themselves. They didn't sub-license it. So there you go. And it has the very I always thought she was attractive, Samantha Mumba. She was a singer back in the day. She had a couple songs I liked. I can't never remember the name of the song, but it was her biggest hit, and the video was really cool. She was like running after this airplane, and she like jumped on the airplane. Like Disney Channel would show that video all the time. I thought I'll have to look it up, but that video was just really cool. I don't remember the name of the song, but yeah, she was definitely attractive, I will say. Then I have a couple more of these. I just haven't watched them yet, but Scam Factory, Suck Factory, they put out these Elvira's Movie Macabre DVDs, but what was interesting is the movies were actually the full uncut original versions. They weren't the TV edits, and then they just put in the Elvira segments in there, so I actually really like that. But here we have the Doomsday Machine and the Werewolf of Washington, which the Werewolf of Washington actually does have a Blu-ray, and Dean Stockwell is in that, from Al from the Quantum Leap. My bad, the name is right there, Fob. But always liked Dean Stockwell. I was sad when he passed away. Always really liked his work. But I think the movies in here, I think they were all public domain at this point, so that's how they were able to get them. But I do like that they included the full uncut versions of the film, and they just put the Elvira segments in there, and then you get a nice shot of Elvira. But I have Like I said, I have a couple more of these. I just have not watched them yet. So there's that. And then, speaking of spooky, we have the complete series of Forever Night, which I actually really enjoyed this show. Well, except the third season we'll get into. But the first two seasons are really good. These are the old Sony DVDs because Mill Creek did re-release it, but the quality is a little bit better on these. But I remember watching this on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. They used to rerun this, but again, really enjoyed this show. The first two seasons. John Capellos actually was in it. He played the partner, and I met him a couple years ago at Chiller. Super nice guy. Really, really good dude. Always really liked his work as an actor. And we talked about what happened with season 3, which we'll get into in a moment here. But the first two seasons are really solid. Catherine Disher, who also, at the time that the show was on, did the voice of Jean Grey on the X-Men cartoon. Back in the day, she was fucking gorgeous. I will say that. Now, time has caught up with her. I'll be nice. I'll say time has caught up. Oh, she also did the voice of Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So there you go. But there's season 1. And then we have season 2, which actually has some features. There's commentaries and there's a making of on here and stuff, which is pretty cool. And then the bad guy, well, he wasn't really the bad guy. He was kind of the pseudo bad guy. But I think it was Nigel Bennett who always liked his stuff as well. But the first two seasons were cheap to find. Season 3, for whatever reason, that one was expensive. But I was able to shop around and find a decently priced copy. Because I think the first two seasons I might have picked up at a FYE or something used. And then season 3 was the more expensive one. But like I said, I shopped around. But season 3, yeah, there's Catherine Disher looking like a snack. And then I think this might have been the first show that Lisa Ryder did, who was later the cyborg in Jason X. So what had happened was, when I met John Capellos, I said, what happened with season 3? He said, well, a bunch of things happened. He goes, we went from the first two seasons we were on CBS, so we were on regular television. Season 3, they sold the show to the USA Network. So we're going to be on cable, we were going to get a bigger budget, stuff like that. But he said they wanted my character, that I was going to get promoted, I was going to be the police captain, and I wasn't really going to do much. I was just going to be like, yeah, come on in the office, we got to talk about this case, and yeah, go get the bad guys. And he goes, I didn't want to do that. He goes, I wanted to be, like we had it. I was the partner to Nick. Nick Knight was the name of the character. I was the partner to Nick. We were going to go out there, we were going to get some bad guys, I didn't want to be the guy that just sat behind the desk eating donuts and drinking coffee and telling him what to do. So I quit. So I quit the show. I didn't want to do season 3, so they killed me off. And that was that. And he also said that, they wanted a different partner. They wanted a woman so she could be sexy. And he told the producers and everything, he goes, it's not going to work. And they're like, what do you mean? He goes, the reason why people love this show is because of the dynamic between us and the other characters. He goes, if you take the equation apart, it's not going to work. And he goes, and I was right, because the ratings tanked, the show got canceled, people said that, after my character left, the show was never the same, and it wasn't. But it's because these people don't listen. So he was right, they were wrong, and that's why the show got canceled. So there you go. But there is some good episodes in season 3, but this is where the show jumped the proverbial shark. And also, I do not like the ending. I do not like the final episode because it's left ambiguous and they don't tell you. It's like, couldn't these characters just get a proper exit and, a little bit of respect and stuff? But they didn't want to do that. So there you go. And I don't know why in these promo shots they had Nick Knight. Garrett Wynn Davies is the actor's name, who was also on Highlander. He was in one of the early episodes of Highlander as a bad guy. He was pretty fun in that. I don't know why that promo picture he's wearing a cape, because he never wears a cape in the show. So I thought that was kind of dumb. But Oh well. First 2 seasons are great. Season 3, yeah. So there you go. Next up, this one's kind of getting a little bit of a resurgence, which is interesting. But the Rambo cartoon. I actually always really liked this. I remember in the late 90s, they reran this for a little bit, which is where I first saw it. I was like, wait, there was a Rambo cartoon? Oh, wait, yeah, I wasn't alive in the 80s. Sorry, I wish I was. But they did put the complete series out on DVD, which they went out of print. Some of them were more expensive than others. I think the later volumes were the more pricey ones. But like I keep saying, because it's what I do, don't pay the ridiculous price. Like I tell you guys all the time, don't pay for this shit. Okay, don't pay these ridiculous prices. Shop around. You can find a deal. Wait for a sale. Come on now. Use your head. So we have Volume 1, A World of Trouble, which I think most of these, it's 11 episodes per disc, which I would not shove 11 episodes on a DVD. That's just me. But it was 65 episodes. So they could have spaced it out a little bit. But they didn't want to do that. And it's more, we'll get into more, because it's the same company that Lionsgate, they did the same thing to the next show, which you probably already figured it out. Then we've got Volume 2, Enter the Dragon. But yeah, it's funny because, like I said, this is kind of getting a resurgence now, and everyone's like, oh, Rambo, the movie about a Vietnam veteran with PTSD, and he got a cartoon where he became G.I. Joe. Hey, it was the fucking 80s, baby. Then we have Volume 3, Savage Island, which has 10 episodes. So we have 11 and 11, and then we have 10. Because again, it's an odd number, so eventually one of the DVDs would have to be an odd number. And then we have Volume 4, Up in Arms, which goes back to 11. But I do remember when these were in the $5 bin at Walmart back in the day. I should have grabbed them then, but I didn't think. Then we've got Volume 5, Snow Raid, which I think this one actually got brand new. I think the rest of them were all used. So yeah, I think Volume 3 is the only one that has 10. Because like I said, it's 65 episodes. So one of the volumes had to be an odd number to even it out, if that makes any sense. And then we have Volume 6, The Face of Freedom, which has the last 11 episodes of the show. But again, I remember watching this as a kid and really liking it. And I think the episodes are out of order because the last episode on here is Raise the Yamoto Part 1. Where's Part 2? Unless they fucked it up and put a typo on there. Yeah, I think Part 2 is on here. So yeah, but I guess for a show like this, there's no real story. It's just Rambo fighting terrorists. So there's that. But I don't care. I love the Rambo cartoon. Alright, so now what I did was I did the top 2 rows and then I did half of the bottom row and everything else is on the shelf because the other half of the front and all the back is all my Ninja Turtle DVDs because, I have all of them. So I'll pull that off the shelf. We'll hopefully wrap up with that. Probably not. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Since it's so many, and since I will go into detail about those, I will actually make this part short. We'll cut this short, and then we'll do all the Ninja Turtle DVDs in the next part, and then that will wrap up that shelf. So it'll be 3 segments for that shelf. And then we will jump into the shelf that I have not watched yet. So I will do that. I'm going to take a little bit of a breather. I'm going to eat something. And then we'll come back. We'll do that. That way that's done. And then we'll move on. We'll go from there. So yeah, this is the end of the... Hold on, I'm fucking myself up here. This is the end of part 36. Right? I'm going to double check here. No, 30... Hold on. I'm all confused. 33, 30... Yeah, 36. This is part 36. So we're going to wrap up here. We'll call it a day with this segment, and then we'll come back in 37, and it'll be all Ninja Turtles, because I will start yapping about that, and it'll be over an hour probably just on Ninja Turtles. So we'll do that, and then if I got some time left over, we'll jump into the next shelf. And I will check on that Cynthia Rothrock movie for you guys. So we'll do that. Anyway, see ya!